Hey guys, meteorologist Chris Tomer here on this Monday. Let's talk some mountain weather, and the snow has arrived across the High Sierra. This is Mount Rose. Right now, just kind of light, but I'll show you radar. Pretty impressive across a lot of the west. I mean, you can see the main plume right here, just nailing the High Sierra, Tahoe, another plume up here into the Pacific Northwest. So the low is kind of like down in here. I'll show you a water vapor satellite in a second. But let me take you into Central Cal. So you've got very heavy rain, maybe even some thunder mixed in with that lower elevation precip, and then there's your rain snow line. And it is just all heavy snow up there, riding up over the High Sierra peaks. And of course, once we get into this and we settle in, we'll start to see that heavy snow take over pretty much all of Tahoe, all the way down to Mammoth, Shasta. This is going to be quite a stretch, quite a storm cycle for this area. In fact, let me just show you satellite before we get to the bullet points. But here's the big picture. So there's our area of low pressure. You've got some moisture out ahead of it and sweeping up into Tahoe, even that other little band up there into the Pacific Northwest. And eventually what's going to happen is this is going to set up this storm cycle for additional energy to come in behind this, to sweep in behind this and affect not just California, but Utah, Wyoming, Colorado, northern New Mexico. There are going to be some serious snow bullseyes with this setup between today, 216, and 222, maybe even into 223 as it's looking right now. We could have 3 different storm systems come into the west and carry this thing all the way into the 23rd. So my bullet points, here's what I'm seeing during this time. Storm cycle, it's major, 216 to 223. I think we've got a couple of places that could hit the 100-inch club on the map here with this storm cycle. Believe it or not, I mean, look at the 15-day totals. I've got Mammoth now up to 112. 112. Unbelievable through this time period. 15 days. A couple of feet at Vail. 4 feet there at Snowmass. 3 feet Park City. 70 inches at Alta. How nice is that to be able to report finally? Revelstoke, a couple of feet. Here's your timeline. Here are your best odds of accumulating snow for Colorado, Tahoe, Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, the Pacific Northwest, and interior BC. So for example, in Utah, your heavy period, here it is, 2 big powder days. Obviously 219 will be a great powder day for, once the storm clears and you'll hit those leftovers. But 220 light, moderate accumulations, 221 heavy on 224 and 226. So like I said, this is going to be a good one. Yeah, that second storm cycle is not nearly as big, 224 to 227, but it should bring at least one storm system, and you can kind of see that right there reflected in that 224 and 226 timing for the Wasatch in most of Utah. In Colorado, heavy on 217, light to moderate 218, moderate to heavy 24, 25, and then moderate to heavy 26 and 27. State of the atmosphere. Atmospheric pressure anomalies up in the middle of the atmosphere. So where you see these brighter colors, these oranges and reds, those are higher than normal pressures. This is Tuesday, 217. So we're just one day ahead here into the future, but right into this storm cycle, massive drop in pressures. I mean, we're looking at 3 standard deviations lower. So that's a significant area of low pressure than the 20-year norm for that area. So everything's just pulling in to the west coast at that point. All right, down the road, 220. So one departing low out of the Rockies, second big one diving in behind it to reinforce the cold and reinforce a lot of the snow accumulation. And then finally, way down the road, 226, this is that next storm cycle. Now, this is indicating a nice drop in pressures on 226, but I'll tell you, when you look at the AI, it's kind of backtracked a little bit. Yesterday it was in more of agreement, but today AI builds in some higher pressures across the Rockies instead of bringing in the next trough. Now, it may just be that it's hanging back and delayed a couple of days, but that's the pattern versus the operational. Okay, let's talk a little bit about total precipitation. So this is an 8-day total precip. This runs us all the way through the 23rd into the early time frame of the 24th, and significant accumulations in the Wasatch, the Tetons, parts of Idaho, western and southwest Colorado, and of course the High Sierra. Let's look at a 10 to 1. Same time period. So deep purple is at least 6 inches, bright pink would be at least a foot, and the whites, that's at least 2 feet. Now these magentas you see popping out on top of the white, that is generally 50 inches or more. And you can see clear as day, even a 10 to 1, look at the 100, you see the 100? 100-inch club, guys. So many of the highest peaks right on the top of the High Sierra, close to Tahoe, down of course to Mammoth, Mount Whitney. We're going to see the 100-inch club in some of these places. Let's go down to the southwest. Rolling total accumulation here over the next 8 days. I mean, look at these magentas. So, I mean, you're looking at over 10 inches of liquid. And it's an easy conversion. You do a 10 to 1 for snow, and that's easily 100 inches. So that's how we get there with this model. And of course, big accumulation, Arizona Snow Bowl, Brian Head, western and southwest Colorado as well. So what does the AI snow plume have in store? So for Berthoud Pass, by the close of March 2nd, this has about a foot. And at Jackson Hole, by the close of the 2nd, this has about 19, maybe 20 inches. So we're looking pretty good, even on AI. Let's do, I gotta bring in my forecast here. See if I can find it. There it is. Okay, so 216 through 223. These are the totals that I see them, and there you go. There's your 100 at Mammoth. I'd say 85 when you kind of average across Lake Tahoe, Palisades to Heavenly to Mount Rose, down to Kirkwood. There may be some places that exceed that across Tahoe. Certainly the very highest of elevations may exceed that. Shasta at 85. These are mid-mountain totals. And then 3 feet down at Big Bear. Looking at the interior, this is clearly your storm track right in here. But looking at the interior, I'd say a couple of feet, very close to a couple of feet for Park City, Deer Valley, Snow Basin, Powder Mountain, and then you're working on 3 feet or more through Snowbird Alta, probably 3 feet up there at Solitude and Brighton, 3 feet at Brian Head, a couple of feet down at Snow Bowl. So outstanding period here. In Colorado, and this hasn't changed over the last 3 or 4 days, the biggest totals are across the western slope and southwest Colorado, where we're going to see 1 to 2 feet and possibly some pockets of 3 feet, some isolated pockets. Northern New Mexico, 8 to 12. In Colorado, less snow as you go east of Vail, essentially. Summit County up to the Continental Divide, kind of looking at 6 to 14 inches in a number of those places. A number of those resorts like Breck up to Loveland, A Basin, Keystone, Winter Park, Eldora is really on the low end, but close to a couple of feet up here over the Tetons, and looking at 8 to 16 through a lot of Montana, generally 10 to 20 up here in Idaho, and potentially 5 to 12 through interior BC and also Alberta. So we're in fine shape, but again, this is the key corridor right in here where the storm track, the trajectory is straight in with the jet, roaring into that area. Let's take a look at the Northeast. So 8-day total precipitation. So there's one very nice ribbon of snow. Deep purple would be at least 6 inches. Bright pink would be at least a foot, and there are definitely areas that go a foot up there in the Northeast. Let me show you what I'm thinking. So 216 to 223, here are my numbers. I do think we'll probably see double digits through Sugarbush, Killington, Okemo, Magic Mountain, Mount Snow, probably Snow Ridge as well, with that ribbon kind of cutting through that area. Everybody else is going to be less, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 inches. All right, guys, we're going to end on the big western map here. This is just an outstanding period, like I've been saying. Plan ahead, get there early, and plan to stay if you're going to chase this powder. Because a lot of these places, if we do reach these totals, they're going to shut down these passes to access these places. So There's going to be a lot of avalanche mitigation. We're bringing in new snow on old snowpacks, so there's going to be a bonding issue. So all these things just to keep in mind. But thank you for tuning in here. Always appreciate it. Take care and have a great day, guys.